Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services in Eastland, Texas. Tune in every week as we share important information to help you and your family live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, legacy and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Good morning and welcome into Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson with Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services out of the big town of Eastland, Texas. And we're talking about getting out, going on your next vacation. Well, you know us. It's more about retirement, living life on purpose. And of course, we're going to have a swing in there, but we're going to talk about your next vacation. And to start there, I'm going to ask you a question. What was your last vacation that you took? Might take you a minute to drum it up if you're like me. I have to think, oh my goodness, it's been too long. I really need to probably calendarize something, but we're not going to be talking about living life on purpose in that manner today. Yes, if you don't spend enough date nights and vacation nights, you know our rule of thumb, put it on your calendar, calendarize it. But I want you to think about that last vacation. And then I want you to think about how much time you spent actually deciding where you're going to go, first of all, because sometimes that takes forever. Then deciding where you're going to stay. Now, I know me. Somehow I got tasked with, my husband is turning the big 50 this year. And somehow I got tasked with trying to pick out this vacation. Well, I guess that is the reason I got tasked, come to think of it. But I invited some really good family-like friends of ours and also some family. And they're like, yeah, sounds great. Just tell us where and when and etc. And then kind of ask more questions. And one's wanting to bring their adult children and one's not. And like, oh my goodness, this is a lot. So I start looking at places. I finally figured out where. And I start looking at places and, oh my gosh, well, this one would like this, but this one wouldn't like this. And this is a lot. And I can't imagine how much time I actually sat there at nights and trying to figure out where to stay. So for me, what I'm about to tell you is not a surprise, but I think to a lot of people it would be. And that is that travelers spend an average of 303 minutes per day. Okay, that's more than 5 hours per day on travel content during the 45 days before booking a vacation. Not going on vacation, before booking a vacation. Yes, this is a total of 227 hours. If you put that in terms of a 40-hour work week, that's 5.5 weeks plus. Over 5.5 weeks of work put into just booking that vacation. Think about that. Now, like I said, I'm not really surprised because I was trying to, figure this out for family, etc. And by the way, kind of lucked out on that one. Had a good friend of mine say, why don't we do this? I was like, perfect. He's like, well, I know a guy and I can get all this taken. Even more perfect. So by my nights of having to scroll are over and I'm so relieved. It's so tedious. You spend so much time in stress trying to get on vacation. Anyway, I digress. That's not what today's about. The question is, if you really think about that, if that's what you spent on your last vacation or anywhere near to, and maybe you do have someone that's even going to book for you, but just the consideration of where you're going to go and what you're going to do when you get there, etc. I can't imagine the time consumed with that. So here's a question for you. How much time have you spent planning for retirement? Cricket, cricket, cricket. Yeah, if I'm a betting gal, which I occasionally do, after all, I do like to play cards, but I would bet that most people have spent little to none in the way of time planning for retirement, and much less than the last time they spent planning out their last vacation. If you think about it though, isn't this ironic? A vacation is for a week or two. For most people. Retirement, how long's that gonna be? I mean, don't we talk about this all the time? If you're 55 or 65 and you're about to retire and we say, today's the first day of the rest of your life, how long is that gonna be? You don't know that right? Because people get in this retirement mode. It's all about unwinding things. And we're like, no, you can't unwind because you don't know that time clock. I mean, unless you have a disease and you kind of know what's going on with your time clock. No, you really don't know. People are living longer. I'm not saying that they're living healthier, which actually is more of a reason to plan for retirement, because it's not just about what it takes during those go-go years and slow-go years. The no-go years can cost a family a fortune. And if those no-go years come way too soon, it could be heartbreaking for a surviving spouse. So planning for that is critical, absolutely critical. But do you actually know how much time that you're going to have in retirement? For most people, they don't. Even if you're retiring at 70 years old. I mean, I have family members that lived well into their 90s by way of my husband. And I hope that I do the same. And if I'm going to live into my 90s, of course, I want to be healthy. This could be why my chiropractic bills and my supplement bills and all those things take a pretty good chunk out of my budget. But nonetheless, it's extremely important for you to think about the longevity of your retirement and then compare that to the last time that you actually planned for a vacation, because your vacation of a lifetime is your retirement. So if you spend 5.5 weeks just booking your vacation, how much time do you need to do to just book your retirement? Yeah, it's kind of eye-opening, isn't it? So, I was looking through here. I was very fascinated. I was trying to come up with some fun content. You know how I am for Life Planning 101. I wanted to throw in some places that are not usual vacation spots. Did you know that there is a cat island in Asia? Yes, like literally the cats outnumber the people 10 to 1. Weird. Yes. Now, one that took my really good attention, this might be on my bucket list, I'm just saying. Did you know that you can actually get in a fighter jet? Yes. If you go, Las Vegas is the only place I saw in the United States that does it, but you can actually go and ride in a fighter jet. That sounds absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. There's all kinds of unique things that you can do on a vacation. And we talk about having a bucket list. We talk about putting that together, but do you realize that most people don't even put a bucket list together until they're already retired? They don't even take the time to do that. And if these are the things that you could do just when you're going on a vacation, what could you actually do with your retirement? So one of my designations is what's called a certified retirement counselor. And what it tries to encourage is that, when you retire, it doesn't just mean life stops. In fact, you have to be intentional to replace a lot of the aspects of your pre-retirement life. What are you going to do physically? What are you going to do spiritually? What are you going to do intellectually? What are you going to do socially? What are you going to do that's going to give you purpose? Oh man, and can I talk about purpose, right? Isn't that what our firm is all about, is helping people live life on purpose? And that purpose starts with you and your relationship with the Lord. There's no doubt about that. But if you don't have that one right going into retirement, I'm going to tell you, your retirement model is broken. It's broken because you're going to be depressed. And if you're depressed, you're going to get sick. And if you're sick, you're going to hurt your family. I'm just saying, whew, that was blunt. I get it, but it's truth. It's total truth. Here's the deal, is that you really need to go into retirement prepared. And it's not just about the money. It's also about that bucket list. And it's not just about the bucket list, because you can't live on a permanent bucket list in retirement. I mean, I guess you could. But your bucket list probably needs to include some form of purpose. Maybe it's a chance for you to give back in your community. Maybe you want to teach. Maybe you want to mentor. Maybe you want to help your church. Maybe you want to help your local charity. Maybe you want to go back and do what you're doing just in a different respect, because you already are giving purpose to other people's lives. And so that's giving you purpose, right? Who knows what that is? You only know what that is. But just retiring to the golf course, just retiring to travel is not enough. And I cannot express that enough, because that fun is going to wear off. Retirement to your grandkids isn't enough. Oh, I know that one stung, because your grandkids are perfect, right? That's all you want to do in retirement, is spend time with those lovely little beings that are nothing like your horrible children were when they were growing up. I get it, but they grow up. They grow up. You have these seasons of life, and just because you retire doesn't mean that those seasons stop. The seasons just look a little different. So preparing for that is extremely critical. And I would say that that's probably one of the most critical things. And the reason why is because everything else hinges upon that. I mean, after all, if you don't know what you're going to be doing, where you're going to be living, what you want to accomplish during retirement, how could you possibly know the amount of money that you're going to need in retirement? We talk about people having a budget in retirement. We talk about them, working on their budget now is not as a sense of restriction, but freedom, so they can really understand where their dollars are going. And then that helps us put together what a retirement budget would and could look like. What are we retiring to? And then start practicing that. Does that actually work? And in order to do all that, I'm sorry, you can't start the day before you retire, 6 months before you retire, the year before you retire, or really even 5 years before you retire. So I'm going to give you another sad truth. So I don't have by the way, I was supposed to give you that stat from earlier. For example, the 303 minutes. This is actually on our website. You can go to our weekly life lessons, and there's a link for that source on there. It was actually a pretty interesting article. But I don't have stats for what's going on with us internally, but I can tell you what we've experienced. We've experienced that the majority of our time is spent helping people build their retirement plans for an event within the next 5 years. Yeah. In fact, most of our time is spent helping people who are going to retire in the next year when it comes to planning. Or, get this, have just retired or have just received a contract on selling their business. Very, very rarely do we get the opportunity to help a family prepare years in advance. And truth be told, that is so disheartening. It's so disheartening because I know it, and I can't get it out of my head, and it just hurts. It hurts to watch, and I wish I literally have people come and go, oh, I wish you would have came to us a decade ago. We could have done so much. There could have been such a different story here. And it's so disheartening because usually, more times than not, that plan involves this statement when we deliver it. Something has to give. Something has to give. In other words, you're not going to get the retirement that you always wanted because you waited too late. It's too late to maximize everything. You may not get the retirement you thought you have. There isn't enough wiggle room to work with. You can't do everything that you think you want to do, continue your current lifestyle. Something's got to change. You don't have the time to work on your budget, your plans. You need to save more. You don't have time to do that. Maybe you need to let your money work for you longer. You don't have time to do that. Your tax planning options are very, very, very thin if you're coming in at the last minute, especially when it comes to selling farms, ranches, businesses, or even just retirement plans in general. Man, I've seen some horrific tax bombs with those 401ks. And if you think you're going to solve it all in one day, think again. Yeah. And the most importantly, is a lot of time when we do planning, we find hidden dollars that people didn't even know they had if they would just adjust or tweak or do things. But those hidden dollars don't come to light if it's last minute. Sometimes they're impossible to even find. So, if you've turned on our literature over this year in 2025, you might remember we've had a contributor to our newsletter. He was also on our podcast, Rich Hall. He helps business owners get ready and attractive in order to lure the best buyers, so to speak. And he stated that you need to start that process as early as possible, 5 years at best. So in other words, 5 years or longer is when that process needs to start. There is no too early to start that process. So I want to leave you with this today, an idea. Imagine that. Yes. And here's your idea. What if you call your next vacation retirement? I want you to imagine that your next vacation is called retirement. What if you actually dedicated to carving out 227 hours this year to plan for it? Notice I said this year. Most people do that within 45 days. Okay? Yes, 5 hours a night. I'm assuming a night. Maybe they get up and do it in the morning. I don't know. But a night, right? So if you did 227 hours in a year, 365 days, well, wait a minute. That's a little over half an hour a day. Think you could figure that out? Create a discipline? Now, you remember I'm that betting gal, right? So I am betting that this vacation planning, retirement, quote unquote, is the only planning that you will ever do that won't cost you money. Yeah, you're planning 5 hours a night to spend 10 grand. Yes. Okay, minimally. But this one's not going to cost you money. In fact, it might give you some back. Can you dedicate that to that? Is it worth it? We just had a couple. Can't ever get them to do anything they need to be doing, and found out they're going on like a 2-month hiatus. And I'm like, that's wonderful. It's wonderful that they're doing that, but they can't even find the time to do the things they need to be doing. They're business owners. They've got asset protection issues. They've got tax issues out the wazoo. Who knows what other kind of liability risk that there might be, because we just can't even dig in. They don't have their legal documents in order. Much less have they even thought or remotely considered retirement. And oh, by the way, they're in their mid-50s. You see, it's all about setting our priorities. We're all busy. But I am betting that 2-month hiatus, they have at least spent that 227 hours. So that's my challenge for you. It's too late to set a New Year's resolution in 2025, so okay, we'll give you till May of 2026 to put in that 227 hours. But again, this might be the only vacation planning that will give you money back. And who knows, might give you some time as well. God bless you. Have a great week, and be sure to join us right here again next week on Life Planning 101, where we help people live life on purpose.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. If you have questions, you can email them to lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Don't forget to learn how our sister company can assist you with all of your tax and consulting needs. You can find out more at briscoeandassociates.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more Life Planning 101. The opinions expressed herein are those of the firm and are subject to change without notice. The opinions referenced are as of the date of publication and are subject to change due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass. Any opinions, projections, or forward-looking statements expressed herein are solely those of the author, may differ from the views or opinions expressed by other areas of the firm, and are only for general informational purposes as of the date indicated. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Smart Money Group LLC. Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by Calton & Associates Incorporated.